Hi, this is Greg Suttie on Soccer, and we are here once again with Jacques Ladouceur. We're talking about his book, Raising a Professional Athlete. Today, we're going to talk about training, Jacques, and this is really important because you have different age groups that are starting at different levels and such. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's correct. When I think about training, I think about batches of ages group, right? So I think about between 8 to 12 and 12 to about 16, 17 years old.
Gotcha.
And one of my first goals when I'm training is to get the kids to fall in love with the game.
Wow, of course.
That's it. Because that's the beginning. That's my first goal. Because I think if they don't fall in love with the game at that age, then it stops there. And when they do fall in love with the game, they will do so much more with the game than I could ever get them to do. They will watch the game.
Right.
They will play on their own. They'll do a lot of different things.
What is a couple of things that you have up your sleeve that makes a kid just love this sport?
Well, one of the first things I do is I play with them.
Oh, good.
Okay, so I play with them and I show them the skills that I have. I show them the skills that they cannot do yet.
Yeah.
But I expose them to that, so that challenges them to go out and do it themselves.
Yeah. So that challenge is going to get them off the practice field.
Correct.
To be doing some of the things that you've shown them that they're watching on TV, or when they go live to a game, and they see some of those players doing those things. And that will inspire them to try to do that on their own.
That's exactly right. And a lot of times when I do that, I'm sure people on the outside think, oh, why is he doing that? He's showing off.
I'm thinking Jacques is just showing off.
Or he's doing something that these kids were never going to do.
Right.
But that's exactly right. They need to be exposed to it.
Absolutely.
And they need to be challenged. Because, children, a lot of times, and all of us as parents, we know, oh, I know how to do that. Oh, I know how to do that. Oh, I know how to do that. But boy, when they see something they don't know how to do, that challenges them.
Right. And you can tell, I would imagine you can really tell when the kid has fallen in love with the game. I mean, he's going to be the kid that's got the ball with him wherever he goes.
Right.
He's going to be making the opportunity to play whenever he can.
Correct.
Pick up games.
Right.
That whole thing.
Right.
How do you inspire this sort of at the practice field?
Well, at the practice field, one of the things we do, you really, I started personally, you got to smile a lot.
There you go.
You got to have a lot of fun.
Oh, so if the coach is having fun.
If the coach is having fun, then they feel it's okay to have fun themselves.
There
right?
you go.
If you're too rigid and you're too stiff all the time, the kids don't relate to that.
Right.
They don't relate to that. They get kind of tight. They get kind of on the edge, thinking that, oh man, the mistakes are not a big deal. We laugh about the mistakes.
They're good. That's good. Well, and when you cause a mistake, that's going to be a learning experience.
Exactly.
Especially if you're not criticized for it.
The game is a game of mistakes.
Yeah, interesting.
Every goal that's scored on a mistake.
Right.
If you go back, you'll see that somebody made a mistake, but that's the way it is.
Right.
What are you going to do?
Right. So how do you play this for the younger kids as opposed to the older kids?
Well, the older kids are a little bit different, right? Once they start to get older, then you have to start focusing on different things, on more of a team.
Okay.
More of a team concept. They need that. They need that. As they get to be 15, 16, they need more of a team. 14, that age group right there, they need more of a team concept. And then also, they need to really understand what it is, how to prepare mentally for the game.
And talk about establishing their love of the basics, the fundamentals. I mean, that's one of the things that you guys are going to be doing on the practice field, but that's one of the things they're going to need to be practicing on their own.
A lot.
Right.
A lot of times when I was playing, kids used to ask me, they should say, well, I go speak somewhere and they say, well, what do you guys do in practice? And I told them the same thing you do.
Okay.
And it's like, they're like, what? You do the same thing? Those drills? Yeah, we do the same drills. We just do them over and over again. We're fine-tuning now.
Right.
We're at a point where we have to fine-tune them. We have to get them right because we have to get them right in a split second at a very fast pace.
Right. How do you know when you've got that kid that has just embraced the sport?
Well, number one, he's having a lot of fun.
Okay.
Number two, he's not too concerned about making mistakes. He's not afraid. Because he's done it so many times, he tries new things. He wants to be creative, and you could see it.
Right.
His creativity is on the field all the time, is displayed.
Right.
You could see that. And then you could see improvements on and on and on every single practice that you go on to.
So now the coach is really needing to concentrate on the basics and on the skills, the individual skills at this point, more so than the team as a team.
Correct.
Talk a little bit about that.
Because at higher levels, when I watch a game, I'm watching for the individual first.
Interesting.
And then after that, the team.
Gotcha.
right? Because so that needs to be taught first, and then they could be molded into a team. The professional coaches, they're looking for that individual first,
Right.
and then they start to say, okay, well, how do I get this guy to fit into my team?
Right.
He's got this skill, he's got that skill, he's got that skill. But if they go, he's got no skill.
Gotcha. Right.
Well, if there's no skill, then where do I fit him?
Yeah.
I fit him outside.
Right. Right. Let's talk a little bit about other sports. In our culture, you can go down to the sandlot or the park,
Right.
and you see guys playing pickup basketball.
Right.
You don't see that in too many other sports with small groups.
Right.
Talk a little bit about what's going on
Well,
there.
just as we said before, a lot of times I think people with soccer, they think they have to have a big field, a
Right.
whole bunch of people.
Right.
And you don't. If you've got 3 or 4 kids, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 2-on-2, that's all that really matters.
Well, that's how you grew up.
That's how I grew up playing.
Right.
And we do the little pickup games just like a basketball.
Right.
You can go to parks on Saturdays and Sundays, and then you could just grab a pickup basketball game.
Right.
But it's really hard to do that here. A lot of places, you go Saturdays, Sundays, you don't see any kids playing on their own. Now, when the leagues are on, you'll see a lot of kids, you'll see
Sure.
a lot of teams and stuff.
Sure.
But that's not them going out on their own.
On their own
or
initiative.
their parents going out with them.
Right.
The kids will learn more, well, I shouldn't say more, but I should say a lot
Right.
on their own. They learn from me, and then they apply those things, and then
Right.
they develop new things on
Right.
their own with
Right.
their creativity. When they see some crazy skill that I do, they go try it. Yeah, they're trying to do it. They may not be able to do it yet, but they come up with something that they're doing.
That's right. And it's really fun because you see that at the top level. I mean, you'll be watching the flow of a game and you'll see somebody at the top level do something that he's never tried before because
Right.
the situation just called for that.
Right.
And it worked.
Well,
Or it didn't work.
Exactly. But that's the thing. You have these things, what I call in your toolkit.
Gotcha.
Right? You just, situation arises, you go, oh, I need this tool. Oh, I need this tool. Oh, I need this tool.
Right.
If you use the wrong tool,
Right.
you're done. You fail.
And these are the things that you start developing as a kid,
As a kid.
doing it on your own,
That's right.
on your own initiative.
That's right. And as a coach, when you see a creative player, right, you don't want to take away from that creative player.
Interesting.
You want to add to it,
Interesting.
and you want to help them to navigate that creativity, to know when to do it and when not to do it.
So do you think that there's a situation with the youth coaches and youth teams in, I'll just say pretty much any sport, where the coach is concentrating too much on getting the win than developing the skills of the individual players?
Correct. Because you can strategize for the win.
Gotcha.
You can put a strategy together with the kids, say, okay, you stay here, you stay here, you stay here. But they're not learning. They're not
Right.
learning because they're not making those mistakes.
Right. And of course, at the higher levels, that's what the coaching is about, is the strategy, not so much establishing the skill set, because that's why you're on the team, is because they saw that you have skills.
Correct.
And that's what you're developing at the youth age.
Yep. I heard somebody say the other day, they said that when they were at the dinner table, their father would ask them, what did you fail at today?
Oh, really?
Because everybody wants to know what they did good, but the father would ask them, what did you fail at today? And if they say nothing, he knows they didn't try anything.
Wow.
So that's the whole idea of
Yeah.
creativity, of getting them to fail more and more and more and more so they can
Right.
succeed.
Wow. Sort of like you got bucked off the horse, the analogy.
Correct.
Get back up on that horse and go again.
Correct.
So what else have you got about training, Jacques?
Well, obviously, when you start getting to 14 and 16 and 17, the training changes.
Gotcha.
It changes. It becomes more intense. It becomes more focused. It can be more rigid, but still, you can still have a lot of fun.
Right.
Because these kids are getting to be to the point where in most cases, if they're at a high level team, they're getting to be serious.
Right.
So it needs to be serious. And then one of the biggest things that's not taught is the mental approach of the game.
Interesting.
At that age, you have to start teaching the kids how to approach the game mentally.
Gotcha. And continuing to make practice fun.
Correct.
And that's such an important part of it. I know when I was growing up in my athletics, training and practice wasn't always the top of my day.
Right.
I didn't necessarily want to be going.
You didn't look forward to it.
I didn't always look forward to it. There was at times when there's a reward, the player gets a reward of success maybe a pat on the back,
Correct.
maybe some positive reinforcement. But if that's not already there, if you're having to internalize it for yourself, you really have to love the sport, and it has to be fun.
It has to be fun. You have to look forward to going there. In fact, when I was going to school, I always looked for that transition.
Okay.
You know, oh man, it's almost over. Boom, I'm getting ready. I got to run on the field.
Yeah.
So I'm always ready. I was always ready for that because I love to play.
Right.
And that's a big thing.
Well, Jacques, thanks for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is always a good time.
Pleasure.
We've got a couple of more episodes coming, ladies and gentlemen. Keep watching.
It's been great sharing with you today. This has been a passion of mine for such a long time. You can contact me in the email below and also purchase the books in the links below.